duty as president is to protect the American people, and today I'm taking action to fulfill that sacred obligation. In recent weeks, there has been a radical movement to defund, dismantle, and dissolve our police departments. Extreme politicians have joined this anti-police crusade and relentlessly vilified our law enforcement heroes. To look at it from any standpoint, the effort to shut down policing in their own communities has led to a shocking explosion of shootings, killings, murders, and heinous crimes of violence. This bloodshed must end. This bloodshed will end. Today I'm announcing a surge of federal law enforcement into American communities plagued by violent crime. We'll work every single day to restore public safety, protect our nation's children, and bring violent perpetrators to justice. We've been doing it, and you've been seeing what's happening all around the country. We've just started this process, and frankly, we have no choice but to get involved. With us.
Hello, and welcome to the Voice of Liberty podcast. My name is Henry Conley, and I'm always glad to have you here. You notice things are a little different with the podcast, and that's because we're trying to change things up. Because things are getting a little more serious, and the talks we have to have and the conversations we have to have, they're suddenly becoming more and more serious. Because, as you may have seen in the intro cover, we're witnessing the rise of fascism in America. What you just saw was the President of the United States giving a press conference about moving federal agents into other cities across the United States. There's so many things we could hit on here. The first thing we could hit on is that these cities happen to be democratically controlled cities. Something else we could hit on is these cities happen to be focal points of the protest against systemic racism and systemic injustice in the United States. Another thing we could hit on is how the President of the United States is targeting places where anarchists and leftist thugs are rioting, according to him. This all started in Portland. This all started a few days ago. I did a video on it where we witnessed in Portland, Oregon, federal agents in camouflage, masked up, without identification besides a badge saying police, arresting peaceful protesters, throwing them into the back of unmarked vans and taking them away to a place where none of their family or friends knew where they were going. Their personal belongings were searched. Their phones were searched without due process or due cause. Their rights were violated. That's fascism. Supporting that is to support authoritarian measures. Supporting them is to support fascist regimes and fascist policies. Right now, we're witnessing the Trump administration getting all of their cultists riled up with the chant of MAGA and CAG, because right now he is the law and order president. Except he's not even following the concept of law or order. He's not following the hundreds of literal military books on how to handle insurrection. He's not following anything that is a guideline for ensuring that these protests do not get a new fire lit behind them. He's failing, though. Because not only have these protests now grown since the Portland crackdown, they are continuing to grow. Thousands of people in Portland backed federal officers into the federal courthouse, causing them to have to take refuge because they did not have the means to control the crowd. Because of Trump's actions, his authoritarian and his fascist actions, we are witnessing the people rise. See, we wanted revolution. We wanted change. That's what they're asking for. They're asking for peaceful revolution. They're asking for peaceful change. But when you make that impossibility, when you put up barriers to that, violent revolution and violent change occurs. Now, the President of the United States, why is he feeling that he can do this? Why does he feel that he has the authority and the power to sidestep the Constitution in order to crack down on peaceful protesters exercising their rights. Well, the reason he feels that he can do this is because Senate Republicans and House Republicans are refusing to stand up against him. His attorney general is refusing to stand up against him. In fact, everybody that surrounds him is so afraid of making him mad and him firing them that they are refusing to stand up against him. They're willing to witness federal agents coming for the enemy. But let's talk about something here, because there's a direct correlation to history here. The Nazis didn't rise to power in Germany because they just stood up and said, I am the party of this country. Hitler did not rise to power and have the authority to kill 6 million Jews just because he stood up and said, I am your Führer. That's not what happened. See, Hitler took a very slow and methodical process to this. He tested the waters. He verified that the things he was doing would not receive massive public backlash. He tested the waters and verified that people were going to support him and fall behind him and support him. And then you had many very vivid attacks on Jewish centers and Jewish culture. No one fought against him. Everybody fell behind him. And so arose one of the most terrifying fascist regimes of the 20th century. Well, we're witnessing that right now. Donald Trump tested the waters. Donald Trump tested whether he was going to get away with this. First, they came for the immigrants, and I said nothing, and they were gone. Next, he came for the anarchists, and yet again, I said nothing, and they were gone. Then, he came for the leftists, and still I stood silently, not protecting their rights, and they were gone. Then they came for the peaceful protester, and again, I stayed silent, and they were gone. Now they're coming for me, and everybody's gone, and there's no one to defend me. That's what we're witnessing happen right now in the United States. We're witnessing a steady crackdown on groups that are considered bad, groups that are considered to be the enemy. And it's all because Trump's only way to victory at this point is to claim that he is the law and order president. His only way to victory is to slowly make his cult believe that the rights and freedoms they screamed about for 8 years during Obama's presidency are all for naught. He has to slowly break them down. He has to slowly make them think that those anarchists and those leftist thugs, those peaceful protesters and those people screaming Black Lives Matter, he has to make them think that their rights are null and void, that they are enemies of the United States, and therefore they no longer are protected under the Constitution. He has to make his cult think that innocent paramedics attempting to perform their duties on people in Portland deserve to be attacked and beaten down by police with batons. He has to get his cult to sit there and get used to supporting these things and embracing these things. Because when he does that, then suddenly the only people in their minds that have rights are the ones that Donald Trump tells them have rights. The only ones that have civil liberties and constitutionally protected freedoms are the ones that he tells them have them. So when they're violating their rights, when they're illegally searching their personal belongings, when they're beating down doors of those like myself who speak out against the government and taking us away, our rights don't exist, our freedoms don't exist. Because the cult is slowly being ingrained to support fascism. The cult is being ingrained to support totalitarian measures, and the cult is being ingrained to support authoritarianism. What do? Do we hunker down and hide? Do we quell our voices? Do we slow up on awakening the voice of liberty? No, we don't. Because the only way to strike down fascism, totalitarianism, or authoritarianism is to stand up, to be louder, to be a voice of liberty, and to awaken the voice of liberty.